Hello, my name is Jisoo and I'm reading Master Dōgen Shōbōgenzō. We are now on book 3 in the Nishijima Cross Edition. And on chapter 42, Tsuki, the moon. Tsuki means the moon. In this chapter, Master Dōgen uses the moon as a symbol to explain the relationship between an abstract concept and a concrete entity. The moon existed yesterday, it exists today, and it will exist tomorrow. We can say that at one moment in time, the moon is a unique and independent entity. At the same time, there is the abstract concept, the moon. The concept, the moon, is an abstraction of the concrete moon which exists at one moment. That is, the moon yesterday, the moon today, the moon tomorrow. Although the unique concrete moon is the origin of the abstract concept, the moon, we are prone to discuss philosophical problems only in terms of abstract concepts, forgetting concrete facts and creating a division between thinking and perception. Buddhist philosophy synthesizes the two factors, and here Master Dōgen explains the mutual relationship between thinking and sensory perception, comparing the abstract concept of the moon with the concrete moon. Second, Master Dōgen uses the relationship between moon and cloud to explain the relationship between subject and object. Buddhist theory says that reality is oneness between subject and object here and now. Master Dōgen explains this using the example of the moon and a cloud that surrounds the moon. Okay, let's dive in. The round realization of moons is not only 3 and 3 before, and not only 3 and 3 after. Sorry, that's suggests random concrete facts as opposed to general abstractions. Okay, there's lots more detail. The state in which moons are round realization is not only 3 and 3 before, and not only 3 and 3 after. Opening sentence suggests that oneness and realization of moons, denying that the scientific or materialistic viewpoint is the only viewpoint. Let's keep going. Therefore, Shakyamuni Buddha says, the Buddha's true Dharma body is just like space, manifesting its form according to things. It is like the moon in water. The reality as it is in this is like the moon in water, may be the oneness of water and moon, or it may be the water's reality, or the moon's reality, or being in reality, or the reality of being in. Being like does not express resemblance. Being like is concrete existence. The Buddha's true Dharma body is the reality itself of space. This space is the Buddha's true Dharma body of reality itself. Because space is the Buddha's true Dharma body, the whole earth, the whole world, the whole Dharma, and the whole of manifestation are themselves naturally space. The reality itself of the manifest 100 things and myriad phenomena is totally the true Dharma body of Buddha, and it is like the moon in water. The time of the moon is not always night, and night is not always dark. Do not limit yourself to narrow human consideration. There may be day and night, even where there is no sun or moon. The sun and the moon are not for day and night. The sun and the moon each are reality as it is. Therefore, the moon is not 1 moon or 2 moons, and not 1,000 moons or 10,000 moons. Even if the moon maintains and relies upon a view of itself as one moon or two moons, that is the view of the moon. But it is not necessarily an expression of the Buddha's truth or the wisdom of the Buddha's truth. So although the moon was there last night, tonight's moon is not yesterday's moon. We should master in practice that the moon tonight, at the beginning, middle, and end, is the moon tonight. Because the moon succeeds the moon exists, and yet is not new or old. Zen Master Banzan Hoshaku says, Mind moon, alone and round, light swallows myriad phenomena. Light does not illuminate objects, neither do objects exist. Light and objects both vanish. This is what? What has now been experienced is that the Buddhist patriarchs and the Buddhist disciples always have the state of mind moon. Because we see the moon as the mind, it is not the mind unless it is the moon, and there is no moon which is not the mind. Alone and round means lacking nothing. That which is beyond 2 and 3 is called myriad phenomena. Myriad phenomena, being moonlight itself, are beyond myriad phenomena. Therefore, light swallows myriad phenomena. Myriad phenomena have naturally swallowed moonlight, and so he expresses light swallowing light as light swallows myriad phenomena. It may be, for example, that the moon swallows the moon, or that light swallows the moon. This being so, he says, light does not illuminate objects, neither do objects exist. Because Buddhas have got the state like this, when people must be saved through the body of a Buddha, they manifest at once the body of a Buddha and preach for them the Dharma. When people must be saved through a common physical body, they manifest at once a common physical body and preach for them the Dharma. There is no such instance which is not the turning of the Dharma wheel in the moon. Even though the illumination of phenomena by yin energy and by yang energy is produced by the fire pearl and the water pearl, from a Chinese story, I think. At the same time, it is just the direct manifestation of reality. This mind is the moon itself, and this moon is naturally the mind. The Buddhist patriarchs and the Buddha's disciples master the principles of the mind and master the facts of the mind like this. An eternal Buddha says, one mind is the whole Dharma, and the whole Dharma is one mind. So the mind is the whole Dharma, and the whole Dharma is the mind. And because the mind is the moon, it may be that the moon is the moon. Because the whole Dharma as the mind is totally the moon, the whole world is the whole moon, and the thoroughly realized body is in its entirety the thoroughly realized moon. Even among the 3 and 3 before and after, which belong directly to eternity, is any not the moon? The sun-faced Buddhas and moon-faced Buddhas, which are the present body-mind and or subject. I'm going to start again. The sun-faced Buddhas and moon-faced Buddhas, which are the present body-mind or object-subject, I'm going to do that one again. The sun-faced Buddhas and moon-faced Buddhas, which are the present body-mind or object-subject, may all be in the moon. Living and dying, coming and going are both in the moon. The whole universe in 10 directions may be the top, bottom, left and right of in the moon. Daily functions now are the 100 things being utterly clear in the moon, and are the mind of the ancestral masters being utterly clear in the moon. Great Master Jisai of Tosuzan Mountain in Joshu district, the story goes, is asked by a monk, "How is the moon when not yet round?" The master says, "Swallowing 3 or 4 concrete moons." The monk says, "And after it has been round?" The master says, "Vomiting 7 or 8. The states under investigation now are not yet being round and having been round. Both are moments of the moon. Among 3 or 4 concrete moons in the moon, there is one conceptual moon, which is not yet round. Chinese and Japanese use different counters for different objects. Okay, it's quite subtle. Among 7 or 8 concrete moons in the moon, there is one conceptual moon which has been round. Swallowing is a concrete matter of 3 or 4. This moment is the realization of the time when the moon is not yet round. Vomiting is a concrete matter of 7 or 8. This moment is the realization of having been round. When the moon swallows the moon, footnote says when the moon realizes itself in action. He uses that word swallows a lot. It is a concrete matter of 3 or 4. In the act of swallowing, the moon exists and is realized. The moon is the realization of swallowing. When the moon vomits the moon, it is a concrete matter of 7 or 8. In the act of vomiting, the moon exists and is realized. The moon is the realization of vomiting. Therefore, it is swallowing wholly and it is vomiting wholly. Wholly. The whole earth and the whole heavens are the act of vomiting, and the entire heavens and the entire earth are the act of swallowing. We should swallow the self and should swallow the external world. We should vomit the self and should vomit the external world. Just going to swallow this coffee, that's all right. Smooth. Quite short. Shakyamuni Buddha addresses Bodhisattva Diamond Treasury. Just as, for example, moving eyes are able to stir calm waters and still eyes make fire seem to swirl, so too it is that when a cloud flies, the moon moves, and when a boat sails, the shore drifts. From the Mahavaipulya Round Realization Sutra. It's amazing. We must clarify and master in practice the present preaching of the Buddha that when a cloud flies, the moon moves, and when a boat sails, the shore drifts. We must not understand it hastily and must not compare it with the sentiments of the common man. Still, those who see and hear this preaching of the Buddha in accordance with the preaching of the Buddha are few. When we are able to learn in accordance with the preaching of the Buddha, round realization is not always the body-mind, and not always Bodhi or Nirvana. Bodhi and Nirvana are not always round realization and not always the body-mind. The words now spoken by the Tathagata that when a cloud flies the moon moves and when a boat sails the shore drifts mean that at the time of the clouds flying the moon is moving, and at the time of the boat sailing the shore is drifting. The point is that the moving together of the cloud and the moon in the same step, at the same time, in the same way, capital W, is beyond beginning and end and is beyond before and after. The moving together of the boat and the shore in the same step at the same time is the same way, again capital W, is beyond starting and stopping and is not a cycle. Similarly, when we learn human action, a person's action is beyond starting and stopping, and the action of stopping and starting is beyond the person. What does Alan Watts say? There is no such thing as an outcome. Do not think of human action in the relative terms of starting and stopping. The flying of a cloud, the moving of the moon, the sailing of a boat, the drifting of a shore are all like this. Do not stupidly think limited thoughts according to the small view. Do not forget the principle that the flying of a cloud is beyond east, west, north and south, and the moving of the moon is ceaseless day and night, past and present. The sailing of a boat and the drifting of a shore, both being beyond the three times, are able to utilize the three times. For this reason, having arrived directly at the present, we are full up and not hungry. Which is a quote from Master Ryon Shigun. Having arrived directly at the present, I have no further doubts. Everything is relational. Moving on. Still, stupid people have understood that the unmoving moon appears to move because of the flying cloud, and that the motionless shore seems to drift because of the sailing of the boat. If it were as stupid people say, how could it be the teaching of the Tathagata? The fundamental principle of the Buddha Dharma is never the small thoughts of human beings and gods, although it is unthinkable. It is that there is only practice at every opportunity. Who could fail to sift through the boat and the shore over and over again? Who could fail to put on their eyes at once and look at the cloud and the moon? Remember, the teaching of the Tathagata does not liken a cloud to something else, does not liken the moon to something else, does not liken a boat to something else, and does not liken a shore to something else. We should consider this truth quietly and master it in practice. A step of the moon is the round realization of the Tathagata, and the round realization of the Tathagata is the action of the moon, which is beyond movement and stillness and beyond progress and retreat. Because the moon's moving is never a metaphor, its essence and form are alone and round. Remember, the gait of the moon, even if it is a gallop, is beyond beginning, middle and end. For this reason, the first moon and the second moon exist. The first and the second are both the moon itself. What is truly lovely for practice is the moon. What is truly lovely for serving offerings is the moon. And what swings the sleeves and goes at once is the moon. Its roundness and sharpness are beyond waxing and waning, using and not using the cycle of waxing and waning, letting go and holding back. It gives free play to the elegant ways, and so it exists like this in many moons. Beautiful. Shōbōgenzō Tsuki, written at Kanon Dori Kosho Horinji. I wonder if I'm going to get this right. written at Kannon-dori Kosho Horinji Temple on the 6th day of the first lunar month in the 4th year of Ninji, Shramana Dōgen. That being 1243. We've reached 1243. Okay, that was chapter 42. Chapter 43 coming up. It's a good one. Flowers in space. Yeah, that is a good one. It's a long one as well. Right, I'm rambling. Thank you for listening. Take care.